Welcome to the kitchen today. As you can see, I have an abundance of peppers, and I typically freeze my peppers and use them throughout the year. And if you do that, all you have to do is just remove the stem and the core, the seeds, and put them in a freezer bag. I'm trying to get away from putting a lot of stuff in the freezer, so I found a recipe to can these. Now you can either leave them whole and blister them, or you can remove the seeds and the core and blister them. I'm going to show you both ways and tell you which one I thought was the easiest. So select your favorite peppers, and mine are all sweet and medium heat. If you do any hot peppers, you definitely want to be sure to wear gloves. I have made that mistake before and paid for it for several days. But these are all sweet peppers. Only select good peppers. Now these will go great in soups, stews, and chili, but they will not hold their crunch. They're going to lose their texture. That's just a process of canning. And you can blanch these peppers several different ways. You can do it in boiling water, or blister them in the oven, or even on the range top or a grill. I'm going to do this in the oven on broil. So I'm going to turn it on high and put it on broil, and it takes about 25 to 30 minutes. And I found that flipping them halfway through and getting it on all the sides makes it easier to peel. This was after about 10 minutes, and you can see them just starting to blister. And then this was after about 25 minutes, and they're all blistered. So you want to take them out of the oven and then cover them with a damp dishcloth. The damp towel helps to retain the moisture so skins soften further, making it easier to peel. And there's kind of a knack to this. If you kind of pinch it at the bottom and then peel upwards, it's a little bit easier. And it's okay if you do not get 100% of that skin off. I actually like a little bit of that charred flavor. So the second way I'm going to do them is leave them whole and blister them. And I did find this way easier because they're easier to turn over and get both sides and the bottom blistered. And they're easier to handle the whole pepper than cut up in quarters and halves. Here I am turning them about halfway through. You want all sides to get blistered and that skin to wrinkle up to make it easier to peel. I found if the skin wasn't really wrinkled, it was hard to peel. And I did find the big peppers were a lot easier than the smaller peppers. But I just cut the core out and rake the seeds out, and then I'll give them a good wash and let them drain on a paper towel before we can them. And if you leave a few seeds, that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Now this recipe, you do have to use the pressure canner. Unfortunately, you cannot safely can fresh peppers without a pressure canner. The extreme heat of the pressure canner is required to kill that bacteria that could cause us some issues. Now, if you do not want a pressure can, you can pickle these peppers in a vinegar-based brine in a water bath canner. But this recipe is for the pressure canner. So after I rinse them off, I'm just giving them a rough chop. And again, they are mushy because they have been roasted. I'm going to pack them in the jar. I did roast some garlic and put in the bottom. And you don't want to pack these too tight because there is air in the peppers, and you don't want all the peppers floating up to the top. Once they're packed in the jars, the next step is to add your hot boiling water and to debubble. And since these peppers have a lot of air in them, you may have to pour some water, debubble, and pour some more. You want to leave about a 1-inch headspace at the top. That's usually where that bottom rim is on the jar. and just really press them around several times. Move those peppers around, and you can look, if you look really closely, you can still see some air bubbles coming out of this last jar. As always, be sure to wipe those rims and check them for any cracks. I'll have to go ahead and tell you, I did have one of these jars break. It was very sad. These jars were some of my aunt's jars that my mother and I went and cleaned out her storage area, emptied them and washed them and sterilized them. And we caught ourselves checking really good because we did have to chunk some. But obviously there was a crack in one of these jars, and when it went under pressure, it blew out. So I'm placing my warm lids on. Do not boil these, but do get them warm in some warm water. And then put your lids on finger tight. I'm going to place these in my pressure canner that I've got the water heated up with my jar lifter. And these have to be processed on 11 pounds of pressure for 35 minutes, regardless of the size, whether it's a pint, a quart, half pint. The processing time is 35 minutes. So once you get your lid on there snug, watch for the steam to come out. And once it starts really a steady stream and the air vent pops up, you want to time it for 10 minutes and then put your weight on. Let it process for 35 minutes on 11 pounds of pressure. Once it's through, make sure you let the pressure come all the way down to 0 before you remove the lid. When you're lifting that lid off, make sure you lift it away from you. You see all that steam? And use your jar lifter. And be sure to check these for seals after 12 to 24 hours undisturbed on the counter and label them. I did not show this step, but here is my jar that broke. I know some of you are going to say you shouldn't use a jelly jar, but I've canned with jelly jars before and not had issues. Thank y'all for watching.